Hello and welcome back to the Yarn Hoarders Crafting Podcast. My name is Sasha and this is episode 51. And today I have one finished object, 3 whips, and that's about it. There's no acquisition, there's no life stuffs, other than to say it's just been a normal week. Yeah, nothing's happened, it's been a normal week. So let's jump straight in with my one and only finished object this week, and that is my March socks. These are going to be very difficult to show because I don't have sock blockers. Let's see. So these are my March socks in my goal to knit 12 pairs of socks this year. And I used the Attic Spin Dye Neon Darkness on their sock base. And it is a really black, yeah, it's definitely black, with these neon speckles in green, pink, purple, orange, yellow. And they're so happy. They are just so happy. Definitely have 2. So I knit these on a 2.5mm 9-inch circular. I knit my socks cuff down. I have 20 rounds of 2x2 rib, 60 rounds for the leg, just a standard slip stitch heel flap and gussets, and a basic wedge toe at the end. These took me 25 days to knit. That did include a holiday where I only worked a little bit on them. So they are finished. I absolutely love them. I finished these last night. They have been through their usual finished sock tradition that I have with my partner. If you don't know what I'm on about, there's a video of what we do when I finish a sock. But they are finished. They used about, I think it was 66 grams of yarn. But I'll go more into that next week when I go over my March stats. So these are finished. I am looking forward to wearing them. We've suddenly had a cold snap here in the UK. It was quite warm and sunny for about a week, and then yesterday there seemed to be a glitch in the matrix because we had beautiful sunshine followed by snow, followed by beautiful sunshine, followed by hail, followed by beautiful sunshine, followed by sleet, for the entirety of the day. And it was cold. My central heating decided it needed to come on because the house was too cold. That's how cold it was. And we don't have the central heating on all that much. Yeah, so I have another pair of socks I can wear, which is good because I haven't done a hand knit sock wash in a little while, and I currently have a full basket of hand knit socks that need washing. So socks, and I don't bother washing and blocking socks. Like, unless I've had dye come off on my fingers while knitting them, I don't see the point. Like, they're just going on my feet. I wear them once, then they get washed, and that's rinse and repeat. They get washed, dried, worn, washed, dried. So I shall pop those there, and that is my one and only finished object for this week, which I still think is quite good because I've gone 6 to 8 weeks in the past without a finished object. I'm hoping with my goal to have 12 pairs of socks knit this year, I will actually have finished objects a little bit more regularly. And then I shall move on to my 3 whips that I've worked on this week. There is technically a 4th whip. My blanket, it's not a phase blanket. However, that's been in its own video each month, so I'll leave that for that video, which should be out sometime next week. But my first work in project, you saw the work in progress. You saw this last week. It is so there's one of them. This is basically making a load of coasters using the leftover Hobie cotton in a variety of colours. Got black, white, and this is all I have left of the actual colours. Of the 6 colours I started with, this is it. I think this is about 5 grams in all. So I have finished. So there's 5 coasters finished altogether. My partner's already taken one into the office. You saw these 2 last week. I have finished these 2 this week. So we've got this one, which reminds me of those, in Licorice All Sorts. I don't know what they are. It kind of reminds me of that, of those like the big square ones with the different layers. It reminds me of that, and I absolutely love those. Yeah. So that's that one, and then this one that I finished. This used up the last of the pink and the light purple. It kind of looks like a little gradient, but that is another one. I think I can get one more out of it with these colours, and then I might just make one black and white one, maybe 2 black and white ones, depending on how much of the white I've got. So yeah, so there's another 2 or 3 coasters in here to work on. I will probably finish those this week because I would like to count the coasters in my March grams outs, just to give it a bit of a boost given the amount that came in March. But these are for my partner to take into the office for his colleagues. It also means I'm using up leftover yarn that I didn't otherwise know what to do with. I am crocheting these on a 3mm. It is just double crochets, UK terminology, single crochet, US terminology. It is, I chain 26, skip 1, so I've got 25 stitches, and then I do roughly 30 rows up. This one's only 29. One of these is 32, I think. I think this one is technically slightly longer because I messed up the number of rows. But that's what I'm doing. They are roughly square. They're made of cotton, so they can just be chucked in the washing machine if anyone spills tea on them. Given they're mostly black, it means that it doesn't show up any tea or coffee stains quite so much. But yeah, that's that work in progress. Hopefully it'll be finished next week. I want it finished by next week because I want to count it in March's stats. So that's that. Not much to talk about, not exactly very exciting. So I shall pop that there. And then my 2 other whips are a little bit bigger, and both of these were part of my 12 cast-ons this year. Let's start with this one. Actually, no, this is the colourful, more interesting one. Let's start with this one. So this was my day 9 cast-on. It was the one I cast on and got like 6 rows of garter stitched on because I was in a very bad way on the day I cast this on. But this is my In Between Dreams cardigan. I am just trying to get the picture to show you. And I've got this well and truly hidden because I'm intelligent like that. So this is the pattern I am making by My Units. And I'm using a, unfortunately, discontinued yarn. So the yarn I am using is Rowan Felted Tweed. Felted Tweed? Valley Tweed. It's the Valley Tweed. The Felted Tweed is the DK version. This is the Valley Tweed in the colourway Janet's Foss. That's really blowing out again. This is a very greeny blue. Bluey green. It's definitely green. That's coming out very blue. My camera does not like, I don't know what it is, but my camera does not like this colourway. But this is a cardigan that I am definitely not knitting according to pattern at this point. The pattern calls for sport weight yarn. This is a fingering weight yarn. The pattern calls for 3.5 and 4mm needles. I am using a 3.25 and a 3.75. And because of that, I have had to go up a pattern size to make sure that this fits. It also calls for buttonholes, and I decided I couldn't be bothered to do that, so this is going to be a buttonless cardigan. But other than that, it's all going according to plan. It's all following the pattern. And this is how far I've gotten. So I had finished this band on day one of cast-ons. I think I've shown this since when I'd finished these short rows, but I am now working away on the lacy yoke. I think I have just finished the second set of increases, maybe third. I have finished the third set of yoke increases. So I'm about roughly a third of the way through the yoke. Ish. Maybe slightly under that. But that's fine. I've been enjoying this. I've been in the mood for lace. This is definitely fulfilling that urge, that need, that mood. Let's see if I can try and... So, it's definitely lacy, and yeah. So, I have been working away on this sort of in the evenings if I've got a couple of hours and I have the head capacity. So I would like to say I would like this finished in time to wear it to Wonderwool. That's not going to happen. Okay, I am far too much of a picky knitter to sit down and focus on this to the point of getting it finished in a month. It's not going to happen. Could it if I completely focused and did nothing else for the next 3-4 weeks? Maybe. But it's not going to happen. None of the jumper patterns I cast on for my 12 cast-ons will be finished for Wonderwool. Completely my fault because I just haven't really worked on them that much. But that's that. It gets finished when it gets finished. If it's still on the needles next year, it's still on the needles next year. You know, I'm not going to put any deadlines on it. I'm not going to put any strict rules on myself. If I don't want to knit it, I'm not going to knit it. When I want to, I want to. So that's my in-between dreams cardigan. And my leg's going to sleep. So that's that one. As I said, it's not the most exciting because it's really difficult to show at the moment because... So we shall leave that one there. And then my last one is the colourful one that's a little bit more exciting. This was day 3, I believe, or day 4. Day 3? It was either day 3 or day 4. I think it was day 3. I am probably wrong. And this is my Colourwork Doodle Cowl. So this is the progress. I was down here when I left it after the cast-ons. I was on the 2nd or 3rd row of the 2nd chart. And then I hadn't picked it up since I cast it on. But I have now finished the 2nd chart. I have added the 3rd chart, and I am halfway through the 4th. So the yarn I'm using for this is a this is a fingering weight that I bought undyed from Siobhan's Crafts, and I dyed it myself using the kit, and holy, it's not fluorescent, I promise. This is a very this is a very cotton candy looking colour, kind of artificial fairground candy floss. And the beautiful sparkly colours I am using for this are from, and I didn't put the label in here because why would I do that? Why would I be helpful like that? So the colours I'm using, which I will very carefully get out because one of them is still attached. These sparkly beautiful colours are from Madrigal Yarns. I shall leave his shop. Everything will be linked in the description box down below. I bought these minis when I went to the Christmas Wool Show 2024. And I knew what I wanted to make them. I knew I wanted a colourwork cowl, but I wasn't sure what colour to pair with it. After dyeing this middle of last year, I decided to pair it with these. Use that colour. And I finally got around to casting it on. These colours are beautiful. And I am basically just going through my Doodle Directory book. It's got, I think, about 70 pages worth of colourwork charts that you can basically mix and match. They are all, the charts are all the same stitch count. Some of them you have like, they're the same stitch count, but like it only uses half, so it's like it's done twice. But it's just really easy to mix and match to put into things like this. However, I am not following pattern from the book because all of the patterns in the back of the book are in DK weight yarn, and I'm using fingering weight. So I basically took the number of stitches per repeat and times it by a number 6 or 7, I think, and then I provisionally cast on all of those stitches, and I am basically going to now work this basically until I run out of yarn. So I am doing 5 rounds of the pink between each chart. At the moment I am using the pink within each of the stripes. That will change sort of in the middle. The pink will be sort of just in the stripes in between for a little bit. That's because I have 100 grams of the different colours, but only 50 grams of this. And of course I can't get any more of this. When I dyed this, it was because I'd originally dyed that skein, that really dark pink skein, and I hadn't managed to exhaust all the dye, so I threw this skein in to soak up the rest of the dye. And of course, this is a very different colour. So I can't repeat this. This is a non-repeatable colourway. I know it is basically just a cotton candy pink, and it's very solid. There's a little bit of variegation, but it's mostly solid. I guess you'd call it tonal. Eventually these colours will start working together within the stripes. In the beginning, I just kept the pink attached and worked the pink. So these were each 20 gram minis. I don't think this was specifically a Colourway set. I think it was just one of the mystery or like Lucky Dip mini packs. He had loads and loads of mini packs on the table. None of them were identical. They all had just like 5 random colours in, kind of mixed in such a way that they all went with themselves, but not specifically repeatable colourways, I guess. So this was the progress. So I got a fair chunk, so I was probably here, and I did all of this in a few days. Once again, I've kind of been in a colourwork mood as well as a lace mood, so this got some work done on it. Given this is going to be an infinity cowl, either just a short one that just slides on or one that actually wraps around depending on how long it is, this is not needed until winter, and I have absolutely no intention of putting a plan or a deadline on this. I'm just enjoying it. When the mood for colourwork hits me, this is what I've got to work on. I am keeping notes on which charts I use and where in the book they are in my knitting journal. Mostly so that I don't repeat any charts accidentally. Or if I do a chart that's similar, I don't do it in the same colour. I've got it all referenceable on a piece of paper. So, yep, I'm loving this. This is very squishy. This is going to be an absolutely lovely cowl to wear when the cold weather returns. So I am knitting this on a 3.5mm. As I said, I'm not following a pattern for it because the patterns weren't in fingering, and that's what I had to work with, or that's what I wanted to work with. But the 3.5 is giving quite a nice... It's not really dense, but it's also not overly loose. And of course, with a good chunk of it being colourwork, it's double layered. And given it's going to be an infinity cowl, it's going to be folded in on itself to such a way that it's going to be like, in certain areas, it's going to be like at least 4 layers. Eventually there might be some charts that require 3 colours or more. At the moment I'm just sticking to 2 colours. And yeah, that's got some progress done on it. And if I wanted to, again, I could probably have that done in time for Wonderwool. It would be 150 grams out of stash, thereabouts, but I'm not going to force it. I like my knitting time is me time, and I'm not going to put any deadlines on myself. I think sometimes it's nice to put some goals in place, maybe set yourself some targets. Like I had with these socks, I wanted them finished by the end of March. I achieved that with 5 or 6 days to spare. Sorry if I keep going like that. I have taken antihistamines and stuff to cover hay fever, but it hasn't worked. I don't tend to sneeze or cough. I just tend to get an itchy nose, which means I do that a lot. It's literally, I'm kind of using that part just to like rub rather than scratch, otherwise I look like Rudolph. So but yeah, it's nice to have goals sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to work within deadlines, you know. I know some people thrive when they give themselves deadlines. That's not me. I very rarely meet deadlines, so yeah. That's like in my knitting, I very rarely meet deadlines. I meet deadlines professionally, just not anywhere else. So I did a giveaway in last week's episode. I'm not going to draw that now because I'm recording this on the Thursday. I'm going to draw that tomorrow, before I upload the video, just to give any other people a chance to enter. So by the time you're seeing this, it's already closed. If you did enter that giveaway, the reveal of who won is at the end. I will record it tomorrow. I will ask the Amazon spy device for a random number, depending on how many comments there are. If you did leave a comment on there, and I haven't actually replied to you yet, I've just hearted it. I didn't want to mess about with, because when you have comments, it tells you how many you've got, but it also includes any replies. So I didn't want to skew the numbers, ask her for a number, and then it pulls out a number of my reply. So, just for the sake of, yeah. So, I will leave it there for this week. As I said, stay tuned. At the end, there will be the reveal of the giveaway winner. If you have won the giveaway, message me on Ravelry and we shall get your prize sorted out for you. It is just a pattern prize up to the value of £10, UK £10. So, yeah. If you've won, just contact me on Ravelry. The details will be in the description box below. And I will leave it there for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's kind of rambly, kind of not episode. That's actually quite quick for me. As it's becoming obvious, I do ramble a lot. But I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, maybe interact with the like button. Maybe subscribe if you're not already. YouTube likes it when you use certain words at the end of a video to encourage engagement. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope to see you next week. Bye, guys. Hello. Welcome. This is the reveal for who's won the giveaway. Please excuse the absolute state I'm currently in. I've not long got back from the gym and I'm currently waiting on a phone call from the doctor to find out about my medication. It's all going. It's all go. So, unfortunately, this is what we get. Me looking like a mess. I don't have glasses on. I'm currently quite blind, so... One moment. So we have 3 entries. So... I'm going to ask the Amazon spy device. I will make sure her name is not said. You might see me say it, but I will mute her name. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
Here's a number between 1 and 3. It's 3.
3. Okay. So that is Danny Hussey? I shall put the name on screen here. If this is you, please send me a message on Ravelry. My Ravelry handle and link is in the description box below. I'm now going to go finish editing this little video, get it uploaded, and finally answer all of the comments from that video that I had put off doing so that my comments replies didn't skew numbers. But thank you to everybody who participated, thank you to everybody who has watched this video, and I hope to see you next week. Bye guys.